And good morning. Thank you for joining us for today. My name is Gloria Montaño Green. I'm the Deputy Undersecretary for Farm Production and Conservation at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. We are very happy to co-host this with the California Department of Food and Agriculture today to be able to walk through some of the disaster assistance and various resources available at the Department of Agriculture to help farmers and agriculture communities recover after natural disasters. So we are going to go, before we begin, just a few reminders of how Microsoft Teams Live event works. So on the next slide, be able to share. This is a one-way video and audio with you. If you would like to turn on closed captions, please use the turn on live captions preview functions that is listed in the event menu. If you are experiencing a delay, some of you might be on VPN Connect, please just connect that. To pause an event, you can click the pause button found in the lower left corner of your screen. You can then click that button again to play from where you left off or jump to real time by clicking live, which is located next to the play button. We are recording this session in case you experience technical difficulties, and for any employees that are unable to attend or any individuals unable to attend today's event, we'll be posting it on YouTube and it'll be shared at the California Department of Food and Agriculture website as well as U.S. Department of Agriculture. We will be sharing that out. As I shared, my name is Gloria Montaño Green. I'm the Deputy Undersecretary of Farm Production and Conservation. That includes Farm Service Agency, Natural Resources Conservation Services, and Risk Management Agency, and a business center. We're going to be walking through today various resources available at USDA, but first I want to make sure to recognize the California Department of Food and Agriculture, who reached out to us to be able to collaborate how federal and the state can be able to provide resources to farmers and communities that are experiencing intense disaster. You'll be hearing from various individuals at USDA about programs to be able to talk to us about at the service center or items to consider for relief that we can provide. I'd like to introduce now Undersecretary Christine Birdsong, who has been a great collaborator to make sure to advocate for the needs happening throughout California with the California Department of Food and Agriculture. Undersecretary Birdsong.
Hi there. Thank you so much, Undersecretary, and thank you so much to your team for making this time to present this briefing. I know that you've been doing this up and down the state, but it's really important information. Can't emphasize that enough, so thank you. But really quickly, as our members in the audience are more than aware, we've had over 12 atmospheric rivers since December. And in addition to the local government response, nearly every part of the state government has also been engaged in response and recovery. However, even as we are recovering from that last salvo of storms, we are already in advanced planning and preparation mode for this snow melt that we're going to be seeing in the next couple of weeks from the historic snowpack up in the Sierra Nevadas. And I just would like to remind our audience that all response is local. If you have emergency needs, disaster needs, questions, always reach out to your local Office of Emergency Services first. For our farmers, ranchers, dairies, this is not your first rodeo. I know you've been through disasters before, but it always bears repeating. When it comes to dealing with losses, problems on the farm or your operations, please keep close with your county ag commissioners. They are your best local resource for ag-related information, and of course, they're collecting all of the data for any USDA disaster assistance going forward. So just wanted to let you all know that the state is mobilized and is prepared to support all of the locals as we prepare for more water in coming months. Thank you again to my USDA partners.
Thank you, Undersecretary Birdsong, and thank you for advocating and sharing with us information in real time on how we can collaborate. I would like to introduce Maria Gallegos Herrera, who's the State Director for USDA Rural Development, to be able to provide an overview of some disaster assistance programs available to communities and community resources that we have. Maria?
Good morning. Thank you, Undersecretary. It's a real pleasure to be here to talk a little bit about the programs that we have to offer. Just to start, wanted to share a little bit about rural development. Rural development is committed to helping improve the economy and quality of life in rural America. And we offer more than 70 programs that support infrastructure improvement, business development, housing, community facilities, such as public schools, hospitals. And we also work on high-speed internet issues in rural communities, tribal communities, and high poverty areas. Essentially, our investments make rural America a place that we all call home. So one of the first programs I want to talk about today is our Section 504 Home Repair Loan and Grant Program. This is one of our most popular programs during a disaster because it's designed to help rural residents repair, improve, and modernize their homes. We can use these funds to fund projects related to removing health or safety issues, which can include drilling a new well, a septic system, which are often not covered by insurance. We can also support, replacing a roof and flooring, to name a few. And we can also cover site preparation and cost to move a manufactured home. And a thing to note is that the grant limits vary depending on a location and the funding source that we're using. Again, during a disaster, we sometimes get supplemental funding or are able to request exceptions to be able to, again, increase the grant limits or waive age restrictions. A couple of things to note, though, is that rural homes should be located either in the presidentially disaster declared areas, or again, in areas where we received exception to provide additional aid. Loans and grants can also be combined. Next slide. We also have a program that helps residents be able to purchase homes at times when it's a total loss. Folks may be looking to relocate and just purchase a brand new home. So that we also use our program to help with those sort of activities. Again, it can be used to refinance a home, purchase a new home, or prepare a lot for new construction. For existing borrowers that have purchased their home through their programs, we can also provide aid during a disaster, such as delaying the payments for about 180 days, and also providing payment assistance to those whose income has been reduced by 10% in light of the disaster. Next slide. Another way that we can assist individuals and families is by providing priority access into any of our vacant USDA properties using a FEMA registration number. We recognize this option may not always be available in every disaster areas given the low number of vacant units. However, survivors that may want to relocate either in another part of the state or country will be given this priority access at any of our USDA finance properties. Next slide. As I mentioned, we're really focused on helping communities rebuild and recover. And so we also can use our community facilities loans and grant programs to support providing essential community services in rural areas. We do give priority access to healthcare, education, and public safety projects. And we funded projects that range from fire stations, healthcare clinics, schools, libraries. And during a disaster, we can use this fund to fund emergency equipment such as portable communication units, radio, public works equipment, AV equipment, you name it. Next slide. We also have an emergency community water assistance grant program that helps ensure that safe water continues to flow into the faucets of rural residents. And so we can, depending on the need, can provide grants up to $1 million for like a new source, or $150,000 for repairs or extension of water lines. Again, we're focused on our rural communities, those that have a population of 10,000 or less. Next slide. And then through our traditional water and waste disposal loan and grant programs, we've seen communities use this to rebuild. So again, very much focused on making sure that we have the infrastructure to support safe drinking water and wastewater projects. Next slide. As I mentioned, we're also focused on improving the economy in rural communities. So we have different programs that can support economic development, starting with our business and industry loan guarantee program, which really encourages lenders to provide loans to rural businesses. We also work with nonprofits to establish relending programs so that we're able to reach some of the smaller nonprofits, the smaller businesses that need loans. And then we also provide technical assistance and training for emerging small businesses and entrepreneurs through our business development grant program. Next slide. A couple programs I want to make sure I highlight before I close: the Rural Energy for America program. This one is designed to support rural businesses and agricultural producers and being able to implement renewable energy and energy efficiency projects. And one thing to note is with the passage of the Inflation Reduction Act, we have quite a bit more funding that will ensure that we have open solicitations looking at doing those quarterly. And through the infusion of these funds, we've also been able to increase the max grants available, as well as the percentage of federal grant share. Next slide. And then lastly, just wanted to highlight the value-added producer grant, since this is a program where we're currently accepting applications through mid-May, and this is really designed to help agricultural producers be able to start value-added activities, processing and marketing of new products. For example, back in 2021, we provided Mooney Farms in Butte County a $250,000 grant to support the processing, packaging, and marketing expenses of their new salad dressing brand. So again, this is a one-to-one match grant program, accepting applications through mid-May. Next slide. And I know that was a very quick overview of the many programs that we have to offer here at USDA Rural Development, but we do have several resources available for folks that are interested in learning more about the programs that I discussed, as well as others that we couldn't cover. We have a disaster resource guide as well that talks both about what we do at RD, but USDA as well, and then program fact sheets with more details on each of the programs that I covered. Next slide. Again, want to encourage folks to learn more about our programs by visiting our website or following our California office on Twitter, and also encourage folks to sign up to get news updates through GovDelivery. Next slide. Thank you once again for the opportunity to be here with all of you today. I'm very much looking forward to answering questions that may come in the chat. And with that, I will turn it over to Blang Zhang, Executive Director of Farm Service Agency.
I'm so sorry. Can we just pause for 1 second? I think we are having a technical issue and there are people who are trying to get in but can't. Can we just pause for 1 minute? And Blang, I know that you need to get going.
Sure. Whatever technical issues we need to address, hopefully the staff is doing that. I'll give it a couple of minute pause if that is okay with the team.
Yes, Undersecretary, I think we are looking to see the troubleshoot behind. Since we are recording this, we'll be able to share this out. So we might be able to continue here.
Okay, thank you.
Undersecretary Montaño, did you want me to go ahead and proceed?
Yes, maybe before Blang will be providing some, as the State Executive Director of Farm Service Agency, will be providing us various resources for indemnity loss, recovery losses, and some guidance that we have available and financing we have available at the Farm Service Agency. Blang?
No, and thank you very much. Obviously, my program chief Navdeep will be here, and she'll be talking directly about the programmings. But thank you, for the partnership through our CDFA and our Undersecretary for putting this together. It is important for our producers to understand that we as USDA, working with our state agency, have come together several times already during the cycle to just making sure that we're outreaching to all of our producers, and this is extremely important for us. To use every avenue that we can, but equally important is those that are in attendance. We value your support, we value your input, but more importantly, your connection and your partnership in getting the word out, because this is critical for us to making sure that we're reaching, as all of you know, that we're in unprecedented time in terms of where we are in California, having gone through some of the disasters we're going through, and then looking forward to even the upcoming disaster as well. So these important partnerships to the USDA family, and also our CDFA state and local, is important for us to get the message out to do that. With that, just quickly on FSA, we do have over 30 offices here in the state of California, covering over 58 counties. That's critical for some of the things that we need to do, but that's still not enough. That's why we have these type of partnership and this type of outreach opportunities for us to get the message out. But more importantly, we're NAV's going to cover on some of the disaster-specific programs that we have through FSA. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to Nav because she's probably the critically more important person for all of you out there. But thank you very much for this opportunity, this partnership through our family, USDA. Okay, Nav.
Hey. Thank you, Blanc. My name is Navdeep Dhillon. I'm the Farm Program Chief for California. We have several programs that are available to provide assistance related to flooding and severe storms that we've had since January. Not only these programs assist with flooding, but all types of disasters. So keep that in mind. So the first program that we're going to discuss is the Emergency Conservation Program. This program is currently available throughout California for all of the producers that were impacted by the severe storms and flooding as a result. So this program offers assistance to bring land back into production. So it could help with debris removal, land leveling, fence replacements, replacing or repair of irrigation systems, and livestock watering facilities. So if there's debris on your land, or if you have irrigated cropland that was damaged, or you have got livestock fencing to exclude or include animals, all of that is eligible under the ECP program. And this is a cost share program where we do 75% of the agency established rates in cost share assistance. And if you're a historically underserved producer, we do cost share up to 90% of our established rates. During the time of need, you can request a 25% advance payment of your approved practice amount. Next slide, please. These programs do require that we do an environmental review of all the practices before you start the practice. So before you do anything, please contact your local FSA office and file an application. You should not start the projects until we've at least done a field visit to do the initial assessment of the damage. Field visits are necessary so we can make sure that we give you what you need in terms of assistance and that you get the most benefit from the program. There is a payment limitation for this program. It's $500,000 per person. And so if you're a partnership, it would be 500,000 times number of partners that you have. There are no AGI requirements for this program. So as most of you, if you're a farmer or a rancher, most of our programs do have an AGI. However, ECP, because it's a disaster program, it is exempt from the AGI requirements. The deadline to apply for this program is October 13th. It was originally established the deadline was established at April 14th. However, with the continuing storms that we've had and the expected flooding from the snow melt, the deadline has been extended to October 13th, 2023. Next slide. Because our state majority of the counties have a presidential designation, emergency loans are available for those producers that need loans to do repairs or within their production, if they need additional assistance with their production loans. You do have to have at least a 30% loss in revenue, and you must not be able to obtain credit elsewhere. So if you can get a loan through a bank with terms and conditions that are normal for farming and ranching, then emergency loans will not be available through FSA. However, if you're not able to get a loan that you need through a commercial bank, then you can contact FSA and we can provide assistance. You do have 8 months from the time that a county is declared a disaster area to apply for the loans. Next slide. Our tree assistance programs helps in replacing and rehabilitating trees or vines that are damaged as a result of the severe weather or due to the flooding. You do have to have losses in excess of normal mortality, which is 18% for most of the trees and vines. This again is a cost share program where we offer a rate per vine per tree for replacement, and then there's also a rehabilitation rate, and then we do assist in preparing the land for planting, and that is a rate per acre. We do require that you file a notice of loss within 90 days of when the loss occurs or when the loss is apparent to you. And this is important, and there is a little bit of a leeway in that because a lot of the areas are still flooded and you're not able to see what the damage is. Or with trees, sometimes you don't see the damage until later in the year. And so you can file an application now, or you can wait until you start seeing what type of damage you have. And so you have 90 days from the time that you see that your trees are starting to die. You do have 12 months to meet the normal mortality. And so if you continue to lose trees throughout that year, we will start issuing payments once you reach the normal mortality of 18 months. You do have to plant the trees before payments are issued. You should not, again, start the project until you received approval, until we've conducted a field visit, because of our environmental requirements that are in place for this program. This TRAP does have a acreage limitation. It's 1,000 acres per within the 1 year. Any losses in excess of 1,000 acres will not be issued. This program does have an adjusted gross income limitation of 900,000, and so in order for you to participate in this program, your AGI has to be less than 900,000. If your AGI exceeds 900,000, then you are not eligible for this program. Next slide. Our NAP program is a program for crop losses. We have crop, tree, or bush or vine losses. As well as production loss. So this is a program where you have to have purchased insurance prior to the disaster event. This program does offer coverage 60% of the yield up to 100% of the price. And grazing losses are covered at 50% of the yield and 55% of the price. There is an administrative fee of $325 per crop. There are limitations of a maximum that we will charge within a county and for the whole nation. And then the fees are waived for anyone who is a socially disadvantaged, limited resource, beginning farmer or rancher, and the premiums are reduced by 50% if you decide to do buy-up. Again, this program does have an adjusted gross limit of 900,000. Next slide. Our livestock indemnity program provides assistance for livestock deaths or injuries in excess of normal mortality, and then we do provide assistance if your livestock is injured, and as a result you receive a reduced price due to the disaster event. There is assistance available for that. We do have a different payment rate depending on the type and weight of the animal. And then we do require that you file a notice of loss within 30 days. Proof of death or injury is required. And again, you have to be a commercial operation, and the AGI cannot exceed 900,000. And in order for you to provide proof, that could be a something from your veterinarian, or we will take notice from other vendors as well. Okay, next slide. Emergency assistance for livestock, honeybees, and farm-raised fish. This particular part of this program addresses grazing livestock only. We provide assistance for any feed losses that you suffer because of the flooding, or if there is loss to your stored feed. We do provide assistance of up to 150 days of total daily need, and then or up to 150-day grazing days. The notice of loss is required to be filed within 30 days of when the loss becomes apparent, and then you have to be a commercial operation. Again, the AGI cannot exceed 900,000. Next. This program, the ELAP program, also provides assistance for honeybee losses. So if you lose your colonies or hives or stored feed losses for honeybees, it is covered under the ELAP program. You do have to have losses in above normal mortality. For honeybees, it's 22%. And then you do have to file a notice of loss within 15 days. So it's 15 days for honeybees, and all the other losses are 30 days if you're keeping track. You do have to have a commercial operation, which means that you have to be in the business of either producing honey, pollination, or honeybee breeding. Again, the AGI limitation cannot exceed 900,000. Next. I think that's majority of the programs that we have for flood assistance. You can contact our local FSA. You can go to farmers.gov to find a office location near you, or you can follow us on Twitter, or you can do a search for us under fsa.usda.gov. Thank you. And I believe next up is Carlos.
Thank you, Navdeep. Yes. Next, we have Carlos Suarez, who is the State Conservationist for California NRCS, to provide some resources and overview of the respective disaster assistance programs at NRCS and the various watershed and conservation work that we have available. Carlos?
Thank you, Deputy Undersecretary, and thanks, Navdeep and Blanc and Maria for the presentation. My name is Carlos Suarez, as the Deputy Undersecretary mentioned. I'm the State Conservationist here in California, and we have 54 offices throughout the state. There are field offices that cover all the 58 counties, in addition to 4 area offices and the state office in Davis, California. We provide technical and financial assistance to farmers, ranchers, and forest stewards to address resource concerns in private land in their farms and ranches. Next, we have a series of a few of our programs that are tailored to emergencies, and whether it's drought, flooding, fire, also hurricanes, although that don't affect us that much here in the state, but earthquakes as well. So the first one I want to talk about, which is the main, I would say the main bread and butter program for us in the agency, is the Emergency Watershed Protection Program. And basically, what is EWP for short? It's the NRCS Emergency Watershed Protection Program that allow us to go in and immediately assess or address disasters or damage that have been caused by natural disasters. In this case, of course, flooding. We provide the funding that is provided is through public sponsors. They have to be a governmental entity. And it released imminent hazards to life and property from flooding or soil erosion left after the event. So we have to wait until the event has subsided before we can go in and do the assessment of the damage. And as I mentioned, it typically includes fire, flood, and hurricane and droughts. What are the requirements for this program? A disaster causes damage to watershed, stream bank, or levee, which results in an imminent threat to life and property, and that is key. What we call when there is a disaster and there is a damage that is as we assess that, we know that it's going to pose a imminent danger to life or property. We go in and we address that throughout the sponsor. Excuse me. The project have to reduce that threat to preconditions. We cannot, in other words, we can go in and address it, but we cannot improve it more than what it was in the prior to the disaster. And as I said before, there must be a local unit of government willing to sponsor the project and provide land rights, permit, local cost share, and oversight and maintenance. In other words, we do provide up to 75% of the cost, and that 75, the other 25% comes from the sponsor, and that can be in-kind services. That the 25% can be in-kind services. There's certain occasions where the chief of the agency can go up to 90% of the cost, and if the area is an area where there's historically underserved people living in that community. Next slide. Thank you. So what are there's some limitations of EWP. Cannot be, as I said before, cannot be used to solve pre-existing problems or to upgrade the level of the protection. In other words, you cannot go in and after the disaster, not only do the project, but then upgrade it to a higher level. Cannot be used to perform operations and maintenance work. For example, sediment removal from debris basin, that's not part of EWP, and cannot repair private or public transportation facilities or utilities. So let me just talk about the timeline, this is very important. As it's an emergency, it requires prompt response. So requests for fundings to the national office or the national headquarters are within 60 days of the disaster. At this point, we are receiving a request for assistance and funding from local sponsors throughout the state that have been affected. And we are submitting those requests for funding. We're following up on those and sending it to national office for review and approval. This is exigency work. Must be completed within 10 days after the funding is committed. Keep in mind, this is funding to prevent further damage to life or preventing loss of life or further damage to property. And larger projects must be completed within 220 days. We have an ability to extend those projects for up to 220 days. But projects that are imminent, that are exigency, you have to complete those within 10 days from receiving the funding. Next slide. In order to get started, you should contact, the sponsor contact the local district conservationist after the disaster. And you can go into our website that is on video, the www.ca.ca.u. There's a mistake here, .nrcs.usda.gov. Instead of the U, should be an N, nrcs.usda.gov. The sponsor submits a letter of request to NRCS State Conservationists. I received those through the district conservationist, those letter of request for assistance. NRCS and the sponsor prepared the damage survey report. That's what DSR stands for, to determine the eligibility of that project. We request the funding and approve a cooperative agreement. We begin the preparation of design and contract documents, and then we award and certify completion of the work. All that is done within all that after we receive the funding. That's prior to receiving the funding, but that has to happen immediately. Once we have the funding, all that have to occur within 10 days. And again, like I said at the beginning, eligible sponsors, local units or subdivision of state, city, or county government, Native American tribes or tribal organizations, and also qualifies for this and must have legal authority to acquire necessary land rights, permits for work. You got to keep in mind where most of these projects are done in private land, or it can be done in the backyard of a house or series of houses. The sponsor have to have access to the backyards or access to private property in order to do the project. If they don't, if they cannot get the access, we cannot go into these properties. So next. Then I want to talk about the Environmental Quality Incentive Program. And the Environmental Quality Incentive Program is, I would say, the kind of the flagship program for NRCS to provide financial assistance to put conservation practices or best management practices on the ground. It varies for a number of practices like irrigation systems, irrigation water management, animal waste systems, fencing, waterways, also wildlife habitat projects, etc. Within EQIP, we have some abilities to provide funding for emergencies. And in this case, we one of the things that we have utilized EQIP is for the reapplication of a practice that have been destroyed by a natural disasters. In this case, it could be a flooding. If a practice in an active or completed, not expired EQIP contract, that's key to this, is destroyed by a natural disaster, you may the contract may be modified to allow the participant to reapply the practice. So in other words, if you have a participant that have already a active EQIP contract, he or she, and that practice has been destroyed, we can go back and modify the contract so that we can reapply the practice. Then we also have the possibility for EQIP to receive funding for disasters. And in this case, we provide financial assistance to provide assist producers recover from national, state, or locally declared disasters such as flood, hurricanes, wildfire, and drought. In the past, we have received funding for droughts, specifically to provide assistance in this type of disasters. Conservation practices included in disaster funding are tailored to the type of disasters. Like when we receive for drought, those practices were tailored for drought, and in the case of flooding, if we receive additional funding, those will be as well addressed for flooding. Next. These new this may allow us to include new practice to address the concerns caused by disasters such as stream bank restoration, to address erosion by a flooding or a failed practice, like flood damage fencing from a previous EQIP contract. So if we have a previous EQIP contract and we receive funding through disaster, we can utilize that funding to address those type of practices that were damaged. I as a state conservationist, can weigh certain programmatic requirements that allow a faster turnaround in obligating contracts. Just in programmatic requirements, not environmental requirements, programmatic requirements. I want to express that very much. Is we have the ability to streamline that process to get the producers to get the work done quickly. Once funds are available, these funds are expected to be obligated and practice to be completed within 60 to 90 days, as these funds are tailored for disasters. With that, I believe that's the last next slide. I think that's the next slide. Yeah. And if you have any questions, you can contact us at the website, nrcs.usda.gov, and Twitter at NRCS California. Thank you so much. And I'll turn it back, I believe, to the Deputy Undersecretary.
Thank you, Carlos. We are going to have a pretty relatively short question and answer. We'll look at some additional items later, but I think the first is, so I farm in California, but I've never gone to a USDA office. Will you be able to help me at FSA, NRCS, and RD? And I'll just hand it to one of the 3 state experts to be able to walk through a non-customer that might become a customer at USDA, how they should start the relationship with us.
So if I may, I'll start, and I know that I'm sure that Navdeep and Maria has a lot more to add on this from the respective agencies. So we are sister agencies within USDA, and most of our offices are co-located with Farm Service Agency, and in some occasions there are also RD or Rural Development offices in the service center. As I mentioned before, we do have 54 field offices. We're adding 2 more, 2 urban offices in the very, very near future. But right now we have 54 offices. So someone that have never dealt with NRCS before, or FSA for that matter, can come into our offices and first of all sign up an application for services for install a conservation practice, or if he or she has an interest in developing a conservation plan, they can talk to our district. In our case of NRCS, they can talk to our district conservationist, and he or she will guide that individual through the process of developing a conservation plan. In this particular case, if it's a flood or a disaster, and they haven't worked with us in the past, We'll look into where the farm is located. We discuss what type of damages that farmer, a rancher, or forest owner have suffered. And then if that person is not on the records, we'll then get that person to go to the FSA office so that they can sign up and establish a farm number. And I'll stop here so I can Navdeep can provide more information on that. So Navdeep.
Okay, perfect. Thanks, Carlos. Yes, Carlos is. Okay. All right, great. Carlos is right. We are a sister agency, so we do work together on pretty much everything in terms of establishing farm records to determining eligibility, and FSA is a record keeper for all producers that deal with NRCS and FSA both. So what we do recommend is that if you're new to FSA or new to USDA in general, is to contact your local FSA office and schedule an appointment. And that way we can tell you exactly what you need to bring in when you come to the FSA office. We can also work with you via email or through other forms since FSA only has 30 some offices within California, there's long distance to travel, so we can work with you through email as well as phone and many other forms of communication. And so it's not a difficult process to go through, and we will walk you through the application process as well as establishing eligibility and how you can proceed with the different program requirements. So very easy to do.
Thank you. So the other question, with the various programs, it looks like there's some deadlines for the disasters. As we know, and as we heard, the intensity of the floods and some of the impacts in California might be outside of those deadlines. Is there going to be any flexibility, or the deadlines, should we be calling now without knowing if any of our losses or indemnities have occurred?
Did I take that one first?
Sure, that'd be great.
Okay. All right. So as I think as I went through through my presentation, almost all of our programs have ECP has a deadline. However, all the other programs, it says 30 days from the event or when the loss becomes apparent to you, right? So as long as you're keeping records of what's happening on your farm, and that as you're seeing losses, that you're keeping records and then start contacting FSA so we can start the application process. And then, however, and you do want to make sure that you, because we have some environmental requirements that we have to meet, that, we strongly encourage that you contact FSA before you do any debris removal or any of that, any type of ground disturbance, so we can make sure that you're eligible for the program. As soon as you start seeing losses, you want to contact us. However, if you want to wait until you see a significant amount of damage, then you want to contact FSA. That's also okay. But as long as we can see the damage before you take any action to remove the damage.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Carlos?
Yes. Thank you, Deputy Undersecretary. From NRCS standpoint, as it relates to EWP, it's 60 days from the disaster. Now, the 60 days, as a lot of people here on the call I know a lot of areas are still flooded, so we wouldn't be able to access those areas and evaluate the damage that was caused by the flooding. So it's you can make those requests immediately to us, and what we do is once that we have the staff available or the flood has receded so we can go into the site and evaluate it, we can go in and make that what we call the damage service report or assessment. So within 60 days from the disaster, but what we recommend is that you go through your field office, through your district conservationist, and make that request. Now, as it relates to EQIP, we do have, right now we have a regular equip that if there is a practice, if you have a practice that was damaged as a result of the floods and you have an active contract, you can go in to that office and request assistance on the provision of reapplying a practice that had been destroyed by a natural disasters, and we can address that within immediately. But also, if you haven't had you don't have a contract or you an active contract, you can still go in and submit an application to apply to a conservation practice to address the resource concern that is related to that event, whether it's erosion, most likely will be erosion or your flood control. You can go in and submit that application through EQIP, through other local office, and our staff will go in and address it. Thank you.
Thank you. And Maria, is there any deadlines or awareness that team should have for RD's, rural development's disaster programs?
I'll just note for our home repair programs, we are making those funds available until we exhaust funds. Now, I do want to remind folks that people can still access the home repair programs on a regular basis, but will be restricted to the grant limits of 10,000 and age restriction of 62. I also talked about the value-added producer grant, and just want to again remind folks that the paper applications are due May 16th or online applications on May 11th.
Thank you. So we have one question about the emergency relief program that was included in the omnibus bill that Congress passed and was signed into law in December. And I'm actually going to take that one if it's okay. So the discussion that's been happening here has been our traditional programs, our regular disaster programs and emergency and relief that exist at FSA and NRCS. Congress in the year 23 appropriations bill passed the emergency, provided funding for the emergency relief funding for 22 disasters, including drought and others. So that is being currently evaluated to look at the implementation we did for the 2020 and 2021 program to be able to make decisions for the implementation of 2022. I just want to be clear that the funding is not about 2023 losses, which is the current disasters at the moment, but that is not required for the disaster programs that have been discussed today. Those can occur by going into your FSA office, your NRCS office, and RD. Those are non-ad hoc disaster programs that we administer and relief that we are able to provide. Hey, so if I can just ask each of the leads that we have here in the States, if there's any additional items that we want to include. You gave a robust evaluation and overview of what you have available, but maybe if I can have for closing tips for farmers, ranchers, and rural communities that are impacted disasters for engaging with you in your state office at USDA, and then I'll close it off with Undersecretary Birdsong. So I'm going to start with Carlos to go first.
Thank you, Deputy Undersecretary. I would like to close by strongly encourage your constituents. I know that we have on the audience some agricultural organizations that are working directly at the local level or regional level within state with farmers, ranchers, and forest users. I strongly encourage you to let them know to go to our offices. We have the website. You can either access it through the website, or as I said, we pretty much have an office in every county in California, and we cover the whole state. Access those. Talk to your local district conservationists. Reach out to them and let them know what are the challenges. I have been receiving emails, calls from many of the partners, and we are taking all of them. We are addressing all of them. We're taking everyone with the appropriate priority that it deserves, and we're here to help in any way we can, not only as NRCS but as one team USDA. So thanks so much for the opportunity to speak today.
Thank you, Carlos. Maria?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank you, Deputy Undersecretary, and the Undersecretary for the opportunity to talk a little bit about what it is that we have to offer at USDA Rural Development. Similar to our sister agencies, we do have offices across the state of California. We have a total of 18 with our main office in Davis that are staffed by rural folks that really understand the needs of rural communities. So again, encourage you to check out our website, contact our local office, come into one of our service centers. For the Value Added Producer Grant, we do have Sanjay Pedrati, who serves as our lead. And for the Rural Energy for America program, which I talked about, folks are also encouraged to reach out to John Strouch, which is our energy coordinator, and he will be happy to discuss potential project ideas. And then on the other programs, again, we have a California contacts page that lists our program directors for each of the programs that I discussed, as well as area directors. And I will say that for our Value Added Producer Grant, we're really trying to reach the socially disadvantaged farmers and agricultural producers, particularly those in our southern part of the state and northern part of California as well. So thank you once again for the opportunity. Look forward to future engagement from folks that joined today's webinar. Thank you.
Navdi. Thank you, Maria. Navdi?
Okay, thanks for the opportunity today. And I just want to echo what both Carlos and Maria said. Contact your local offices. They are the ones that are going to be assisting you. They understand the ag and just the whole issue that's going on at the local level. And we are moving some folks around within the state to provide assistance to those offices and bringing jump teams in to provide any further assistance to make sure that we're providing assistance in a timely manner. Thank you.
Thank you. And Undersecretary Birdsong.
Thank you so much, and thank you again to the USDA team. This is a great presentation. I'm trying to commit it to memory because I get asked so many questions, but I'm really grateful for all of you experts because I'm just going to send people to you for their questions. Thank you so much, and I would just want to encourage folks in the audience, stay engaged with your local governments, your local ag commissioners, especially with all the advanced planning activities that are underway right now. Hopefully, with enough advanced planning, we won't need to depend on disaster programs quite so much. So thank you again for your partnership, both with you in the audience and with you at USDA. Thank you.
Thank you, Undersecretary. I just encourage you to look at FarmersGov. That'll provide links to various resources at Farm Service Agency, Natural Resources Conservation Services, and also rural development. And that provides one location for you to think about: farmers.gov, various disaster resources, and where we'll regularly provide updates. In there is links you can provide to your respective state and sign up for distribution lists for additional information as we provide resources. But the number one thing to do is to just start a contact with your service center, be it the RD, the NRCS, the FSA1, and we'll also make sure to direct you if it's not one of the programs within our sister agencies, and so you don't have to make a bunch of calls. So just go to farmers.gov, look up USDA Service Center and make a phone call there, and we'll begin to help you right away. Thank you all very much for joining today, and have a great rest of your day.
Thank you.
Thanks all.